Okay, we're recording.
All right, thanks, June. I'm in Board Book trying to find the agenda, and when I pull it up, nothing is there. Am I the only one that's having that problem?
I was having a hard time just getting into Board Book, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
On
you
Chrome.
probably be
It's how-
better if I try to get the company to give us some more training on the board side of Board Book. I
It
feel
says it has the dial-in information, but it doesn't have an agenda. And so I'm worried that we don't have anything noticed.
we do. It's here. I'm
Okay.
gonna put it in the chat it's on the public side. So like if I click on
Okay.
that,
Okay.
at least you'll
thanks.
see it from the public. That's like just the public facing view of Board Book.
Yeah, I'm looking at the agenda based on the public link on the westernps.org site.
Okay.
So it's definitely out there. I'm trying to find it in Board Book as well.
All right. Well, I don't have the ability to review the minutes, unfortunately.
Let me
I don't know.
hang on 1 second.
Yeah, I'm not getting it either.
Can we, if we can't get it, can we table the minutes till next week or
I'm
next
seeing,
month?
I'm seeing the minutes. So when you
Mhm.
when we can if you want we can pair this out. When you log into Board Book, what's your homepage when all of you log into Board Book?
I see the calendar and then meetings and agendas down the left.
So if you look on the left side, the top one, it says November 16th Communications Committee meeting. If you click on that,
Yeah, mine is in the reverse order. So
Yeah, you know what the
there-
issue is?
Going to
What I do, I cannot figure out how to navigate Board Book's website. So what I do, which is unbelievably helpful, is I go to my inbox and I get the emails that Jody sends us,
same.
and I click on it within the email that Jody sends. So if you have your email open, Melissa, and you look at
Okay.
the notice that Jody sent us on the 11th,
Okay, I'll look for that. That's probably better.
yeah, or I can throw the link in the chat. But yeah, Dan, it would be super helpful because I had the same problem with the Board of Ed meeting last night. If you just log into Board Book from their, regular landing, the just boardbook.org,
yeah.
how do we navigate to the details of the agenda?
So the way I normally do it, so when I just logged into Board Book and on the left side it says like meetings and agendas, it's got the calendar on the right. So I see Communications Committee meeting, and when I click on that, I get a little drop down, and there's a link underneath the Google Meet dial-in that says view meeting details, and then it says in parentheses join meeting. When I click on that, then it brings me right to the agenda, and I see number 2, approval of October 2021 minutes. And if I click on that, there's the PDF attachment for it.
Okay.
Sorry, run that by me one more time. So I went to boardbook.org, as no links to it. I logged in.
Yep.
I see my name at Western Public Schools in the top left corner. Then where do I go from here?
Do you see a calendar?
Yes.
Okay, and on the left side, it says meetings and agendas.
Yes, starting with June 21st of the
Yeah.
future.
That's what mine is too.
So for some reason, yours is reversed.
Yes.
So like
All of
mine
ours are
shows the
reversed.
newest meeting at the top.
The most current, and then
The
working
most
your way into
current
the
meeting
future.
is up at the top where I see the November 16th Communications Committee meeting.
Okay. That's probably, and it sounds like maybe Sharon.
Mine's reversed as well. Yeah.
So hang on a second. So at the bottom of that, under meetings and agendas, at the bottom, do you see where it says view additional meeting information?
Yes.
Click on that.
Or if you go to the top and you click on documents, you'll see it too.
Okay.
That's how I found the minutes.
Maybe we take this offline, but Dan, I think that multiples of us would probably find some level of Board Book training or just like
Yes.
default setups really helpful, because Sharon and I both get our meetings from June. Like I'm looking at June 21st. I have to scroll down, look at more, and I bet you other new board members probably have the same unintuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moment.
Maybe we can set up something where we can do a quick training session. No
I would
problem.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I also, I'm jumping back and forth between Safari and Chrome, and it's crazy. So
Okay.
Did you find
well,
the minutes, Melissa?
Do we all? Yeah, I do. I have them now. So and I read through them while you guys were talking about that. Has everybody else had the opportunity to review them? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't have any revisions. Did anybody else have any revision?
No,
Okay, so let's have a motion to approve the minutes
I make a motion to approve.
from October. Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the minutes have been approved. And then let's just move on to the agenda. The first is the debrief of public participation last night. Dan, did you have any thoughts? How did it go from a technical standpoint?
It went pretty well from a technical standpoint. We had 3 people before the meeting had officially began who joined. We let them all in when the meeting started. 2 of them almost immediately dropped off of the meeting, and I think they may have clicked on the wrong link. You know, Jody did a really good job of putting the instructions like click here specifically for public comment and click here for the live stream of it. We did have a handful of people who I think accidentally clicked on the Zoom link when they just wanted to passively watch the meeting. But we you know, they once Tony said that we'll be calling your name and then you'll be unmute and give your public comment. That's when they dropped out, when they're like, oh wait, no, I don't have anything to say. So they hung up real quick. But it went well. We had one person with the public comment, and they followed instructions. They stated their name, their address, what they had to say, and then they left the meeting when they were done. We did have 2 people try to connect a little bit over an hour into the meeting, but then they dropped off. And I'm assuming that it was, again, because they may have clicked on the wrong link.
Okay.
But other than that, I just had wanted to put this on there. I didn't know what to expect before the meeting, so I just kind of wanted to debrief and ask, your thoughts and feedback on what you thought the live participation went, and if there's anything you'd like me to change with the process.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I thought it went well. It was nice to see somebody's face. I thought he was animated and interested. Like, it added kind of the human element back to comments. You could see that he was interested in what he was saying and passionate about it. And I think that came through well. So I thought it worked out well.
You should know regarding his comment that he has had long conversations with the elementary principal. I was also involved in directing him that way. So he has been heard at the building level.
Okay.
And so we're communications meeting, but is this something that is taken up by facilities then? Is this something that's taken up by the principal that she makes a special request? How does that work, Lisa?
It's something right now that, quite frankly, we're putting on hold. We have so many other things that we have to worry about that we're not necessarily worrying about that. We have piloted some of those seats at the middle school. Perhaps we could do a pilot, but it's my understanding let's go out and fundraise and get all of these desks for Hurlbut, which at this point in time, while it's an interesting concept, we're not ready to commit to something like that. Perhaps a pilot of a couple in each rooms, but that's about it. And I certainly, at this point, I'm not putting Board of Ed funds in next year's budget to do that. There are so many other things that would take priority of it that, maybe looking at it through a philanthropic thing might be something to do. But I'm leaving that to, frankly, I'm leaving that to Laura and Patty. I know the middle school PTO bought like 2 in each classroom in at the middle school. If we were going to do it, we'd probably do something so it would be for a small group in each classroom. But
yeah, no, I appreciated the fact that he was actually willing to put some skin in the game and do some fundraising for it. And I think I just didn't know if that was. I agree as far as like
it's just
funds, but
I think that it's something that we need to consider, but through a philanthropic way, and it's
okay.
That's it. I mean, and I do appreciate his interest in what he's saying because it's true. The other thing that we need to keep in mind is kids aren't always sitting in desks. When I go over there, they're all over the place, which is a good thing, But if there was a way to incorporate it in a small group thing, I think we might consider it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, back to the communication piece. I think it was nice to get. Well, we got one person to speak. I think it speaks to a couple of different things. Number one, the level of interest that people have in public commenting on, before a meeting seems to be a lot higher than when it comes to actually time to have the meeting. But I think our responsibility is to provide the platform for them to make their public comment. We can't force them to show up and make the comment, but we can be welcoming, warm, and inviting on how to. So I think it was really nice to actually be able to see the person speak their own words. And so, I think my only question to Dan is what we did scalable. So, right. So basically one person spoke, you were prepared potentially for 3 or 4. If there does come an agenda item that people are really passionate to talk to, do you envision a scenario where somebody needs to kind of keep that 5-minute timer, do the waiting room? What is your thoughts on continuing it, but thinking that there might be more people interested at a future meeting?
I think the more people we have, there's always going to be a higher chance of it getting a little bit disorganized. There are definitely, let's say, for instance, if we're still virtual during budget season, there's going to be a higher chance of us having more than one public comment during the meeting. So, we can keep the rules, but there may be some transgressions that we're going to have to take care of. Some of the rules that I had set in place in the Zoom meeting is like, people enter the meetings automatically muted with their video off. But I don't disable people not being able to unmute themselves, because then it would turn into a technical problem where now I'm going to have to walk each person through how to, I have to click on them, please unmute yourself. So we'll have to take it, one by one, but I could see it potentially getting a little bit unruly, but I can't think of any other way to do live public comment while we're meeting over Zoom. Okay. So I think this is our best option. But don't be surprised if it's one of those meetings where we happen to have 5 or 10 public commenters. Jody was running the 5-minute timer for people, and it just comes down to who's going to enforce that when the 5 minutes are up.
Yeah.
And is it worth it?
I was just going to say, it's no different than the, kind of the in-person meetings that we used to have back a year or 2 ago when it was budget season. There would be a lot of people in the audience, and, they themselves were kind of struggle. You go, no, I go, who's next? So, I think that kind of stuff is just going to be the norm, whether we were in person or by Zoom. So, I don't think, we need to be cutting people off at 5 minutes and 1 second if they're in the middle of a statement. Let's just let people be heard and see how it goes. And we can always modify for the following month if it goes long. But it's important to hear the comments.
I mean, I thought that the understanding was that as the person talked, if let's say they got to almost the 5-minute mark or something, Jody was keeping the time and would say, excuse me, we're at the 5-minute mark, or maybe you should put something in the chat or something. And then Tony would handle it, quite frankly.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think that's right.
We
just wrap we don't need to be
not going to cut them off.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop. But at the same time, I've been at meetings where, there's 10 people that want to speak.
Yeah.
The good old days of the in-person meetings. And then it is important, quite frankly, to make sure that time is honored.
No, it is. So I think it's good. All right, let's,
I wish we could require people to put their picture on. I get why we can't, but it really adds a lot more to the conversation, I think, when you can see the person.
Yeah.
I was so happy when he put it on, because I thought it was him. And then I was like, oh yeah, it is him, because I had spoken to him, and I recognized him. I just, if we could encourage that, but I get it, maybe somebody's in their pajamas and they don't want to click on. I don't know, it makes it that much more personal, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else, or should we move on to the next agenda item?
Let's move on.
All right. Social media updates.
All right. So we're still plugging along with social media. Instagram is still growing. We have close to 1,000 followers at this point.
Yeah, baby. I check every day.
I know that it's great. You know, we have
Should we
a
show
lot
them
of,
the poster, Dan?
what was that?
Should we show them the poster?
Oh
Let's
yeah,
see.
go. Show 'em.
Okay, this is the poster that Bernie and I got just because they happen to have a poster machine. See, Melissa saw it. What's up in the Weston Public School? It's a poster. This is it's for the podcast people.
So, okay, so for those who don't know, Lisa is going to be starting a podcast.
My
Because
first
you don't
guest
have
is
anything
Dan
else to do,
DeVito.
Lisa.
No, it's actually really fun. My first guest is Dan DeVito.
So we had started talking, and Lisa came up with the idea like a week or two back that she wanted to do a podcast.
It was from Jennifer Brimbreim, or I can't pronounce her name, the middle school PTO president.
Mhm.
It was
Bernheim.
my idea.
So I mentioned that I had before the pandemic had done a podcast on education technology. So we started talking, and we got her. I let her use my podcasting microphone. Lisa used her podcasting voice, and we recorded a good podcast. And so she's got the art now for it, and she's working on.
2 more lined up, baby. 2 more interviews.
We're getting some intro and outro music, and I showed her how to do it all, and she picked it right up almost instantly. And
No,
and,
actually, what you said was my son could use this software, Lisa. He's 8, so I think that you can handle it.
I mean, I didn't mean to sound mean like that, but
No, it was
my
perfect.
son did
You know me
decide.
well. It was perfect.
My son, when he was 8 years old, decided to start his own podcast called the CJ Diary Podcast for his grandparents who lived down in South Carolina, so they could hear his day. He did the whole thing. So I told Lisa, look, he did it, and she did it, and she did it no problem. And we went and I was just showing her how to do it, and then she just did an impromptu interview of me, and she did a great job. So I'm honestly looking forward to Lisa's podcast. I think it's going to be really cool. It's a fun way to have engagement. You know, not a lot of no superintendents will do anything like this. So I think Lisa doing this and
No, people do.
spotlighting the good things is a good thing.
I think
No,
so
and
too. Just make
people
sure that
do.
you send us the link to the podcast.
Yeah,
or-
we're not there yet. The goal is to get about 5 recorded. That's what Dan DeVito said. I follow my instructions. Get 5. Maybe we'll get 3 because I'd really like to get one out right after Thanksgiving. Carl Schultz was involved in the play. He's going to do my background and intro music. He's
Nice.
great. I think we should highlight. And I'm thinking of maybe asking, I got to talk to Jeff Brentridge. We have a real great student voice at the high school to do the intro. If not, it'll be Dan DeVito, because I think the more that we can do, you know, to have them help with it. I'm going to interview, upcoming interviews include Randy Green, the college and career counselor, which I think is timely, especially with decisions coming out in December. I reached out to Sharon Rodko. I think that she is a wealth of information as far as literacy and young learners. I'm planning on doing one on math, kind of dovetailing, especially highlighting certain, it's all about different programs. And then, you know, over the course of the year, we can certainly incorporate other things. I think it's great. So when someone's listening about, for example, the Wingman program at the middle school that, you know, a lot of people don't know, Kiwanis helped support that. That was kind of lost in the COVID pandemic, but to be able to talk about that with Christina Gallo, who's in charge of it, I think it's a really refreshing topic to be able to talk about the alternative pathways program at the high school. Then people can start seeing, you know, to be blunt, what are your taxpayer dollars paying for? Like, these are the programs that they're supporting and the people behind it. I'm going to put Dan DeVito on the spot. Here's a fun story. So Dan DeVito is very modest. He has an MBA. He was on a kind of a different trajectory, went into business, different things. Then he, at a point in his career said, well, I'm just going to do this tech. I'm going to be a tech person in a school, kind of while he was figuring out what was going on. Got his MBA. Then he had his aha moment. Listen to the podcast to find out what that is. Now, tell us what the aha moment is, Dan. It's a beautiful moment when you chose to go education and not business.
So, okay. So when I was 21, I got my first job in schools. Before that, I was working in business. I was a recruiter. I was horrible. I got fired. I was so bad at the job, but I'm a tech guy, right? I'm a nerd at heart. So I got a job with the public school system. And at that point, I was trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do? I'm going to be getting married soon. Is this something I want to do for the rest of my life? And I went into a classroom. The smartboard was broken, and I fixed the smartboard. I told the teacher the smartboard is fixed, and all of a sudden I feel something on my leg, and it's a little kindergartner, and he's hugging my leg, thanking me for fixing the smartboard. And I'm like, this is it. Like, how can I not want to be involved with students with this? I mean, this is the most amazing feeling on earth, is that I'm helping the kids. And that was the moment when I realized, like, this is my career.
I'm sure David can relate to that, because having worked in schools too. It's just there's not words to describe those kind of moments when you help bring to life so many things to kids through technology.
Yeah, I've spoken to Dan a couple of times about this, because I was in Dan's role probably when Dan was in kindergarten, but no, I was in Dan's role.
No. I was a technician when you were a director.
Okay. we'll have to meet up and compare ages, but you may be right. But it is I tell Dan all the time, it was working for a public school. I worked for the University of Hartford. I worked for Yale University, but then I worked for Hamden Public Schools. And all of my jobs to date, including running my own business today, the most rewarding job I've had was working for the Hamden Public Schools. And I would love to find a point in my career where I'm not too old to give back into that environment and not running my own business, because it's hard enough to run a business. But yeah, I totally agree with Dan. It's exceptionally rewarding, not just with the students, but with the educators and the staff. There are days I envy Dan, just for the environment he's in, not for a lot of other things, but just for the environment.
Well, I can't wait to hear these podcasts. This sounds like it's going to be awesome. Thank you.
God, now I've probably set the bar too high, but I think it'll be fun.
She's being too modest. Lisa did an amazing job with the podcast. She was nervous beforehand, but then it was just, she's a natural, right? And I think this is our next.
It's my new career podcast.
This is our next evolution in social media, because really podcasting is a form of social media,
right?
And this is a way to get the positive message, the positive vibes of all the amazing things we're doing in Weston. And Lisa immediately knew, well, when do most people listen to a podcast? On their way into work, when they're driving. So she knows they're going to be 15, 20-minute podcasts showcasing people. And this is legit. This is no joke. She's going to be on Spotify. She's going to be on Apple Podcasts. She's going to be on Podomatic. She's going to be on all the major distributors.
Wow.
That's great.
Gee, didn't know that. But we'll just move along. And you basically told me what to do, Dan. Make it 15 minutes. Don't make it longer. Do this, do that. This is how you make them feel comfortable. I just followed his lead. You made it very easy. One other thing I want to share with you is I did have a meeting. I think I had talked to you about, I want to put together a hard copy of a publication, not that long, as several pages that would go out to the entire community. And it's things about what's the mission, the vision, portrait of a graduate. It would have a message from me. It would have all of your lovely pictures as board members in it. And then it would have sort of how Portrait of a Graduate interweaves through the entire school system, what that looks like, highlighting some other things about, what our priorities are. I think it's kind of like I hate the expression state of the schools publication, but I think that it is something that we got away from sending out mailing things. And I think that this is something that we can be cost effective and do once a year, maybe twice a year, to get it out to everybody in town, because quite frankly, a matter of town pride of what's going on here.
Yeah, I think, can I make a suggestion on that? I think that the Portrait of a Graduate is a wonderful idea. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while here, but the one thing I would probably, I would suggest, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Go ahead.
try to make it, when you are describing what the Portrait of a Graduate looks like, it can be very confusing if you've not been exposed to it numerous times in the past. So if you can try to, and also what's going to happen is parents are going to be like, oh my gosh, my kid has got so much schoolwork already, and now they have to do this as well. So if you can make sure that you emphasize that it's something that is, being worked on throughout their career. It's not like they're being lump sum in the middle, their junior year, senior year. Working on, and it's not going to add to their stress. It's something.
No.
But I would just suggest that you find a way to put that in there, because you don't want parents reading it and saying, "Oh my gosh,"
No, I think that we have, Sharon, what we're doing is we're looking at the specific skills. That's all, there's a definition. And then looking at like, what does critical and creative thinking look like at each building level? So that theme would go through, there'd be pictures of kids. So it's not about really the portfolio or any of that. It's just kind of like, this is what a Weston graduate, these are the skills we're developing K-12.
Okay.
And I'm having Sydney Girardi, who retired, help with it. She was the former CIL and graphic person. That we were talking about going with her or a company. The thing about there was a company that we that also does it, but with her, this is her only project, so I can get the turnaround time a lot faster than what I need. But
Right.
yeah, no, I don't want it to be rooted necessarily in you got to put your work in the portfolio piece, but more like, what does that mean? Like, what does caring for others mean in the Western community? What does self-care mean? What does creativity and problem solving mean? How does that look at every different level? And where's kind of the innovative piece of that? So I'm
Right.
excited about that. That realistically, that won't be ready until January, but at least we're moving on it,
Absolutely.
And yeah, when we get a draft or some ideas, I'm happy to show it to you guys, for your, expertise and first, to look at it and see in layman's term, how does this look? So suggestions welcome.
Okay, great.
Dan, would it be possible, so with Lisa and all these various social media and platforms that the public schools are on, there isn't a general jumping off page from the Weston Public Schools website. So is it possible to add a link on the public school website? I don't even know what it would be under, and I was just taking a look at the website now, but something along the lines of, Weston Public Schools. Something, basically a link that would provide a link to our Twitter page, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, because right now it's not aggregated anyplace. So it'd be great, right?
Yeah, no problem. I can do that.
What about we do the title of the podcast? What's up in the Weston Public Schools? No, I mean, and then you put all the links.
Yeah.
You can also put like the principal's updates, all that under one thing, because you got to kind of dig for it,
Right.
know?
And if you don't know about it,
dig? I want to open it
Right.
up and be like, well, Sam kept talking about that button, on the
Right.
website
I
last
will
night.
also say though, on the main page is the big, follow us on Facebook, and the Instagram feed is right on the district page.
right? I think intuitively though,
Click here.
I think just intuitively, if you scroll down, yes, you see the Facebook thing, but is there a way across the top, not like sort of like the way the COVID info is orange, is it possible to add a button that's like, WPS on social media?
Yeah.
And then if you click on that link, have a link to our Twitter page, the Facebook page, the podcast, because I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on some other one, but I am on Facebook. So I it'd be nice to have everything in one place so people who are on certain platforms can go find what they're looking for.
Sure. Wait, Lisa, you're mute. You're muted.
That will not be good for her podcast.
Sorry. No, I got so excited looking at the page. I logged out of the meeting when I was trying to find it. We got to get over 1,200. Everybody like us on Instagram. We're working on it. 2,400 families, right? 2,400 kids. So maybe, yes, it would be interesting. Is there a way to find out what age group is not represented in the mass audience, or am I getting crazy now? You know what I mean? Who is following us?
You're getting a little too crazy. There's no way
Like,
for me to figure that out.
Are they only alumni?
I don't know. I don't know.
So,
I don't know. I don't know enough about Instagram's analytics, but there's not going to really be a way to tell you that.
Okay.
There will be when you post your podcast on Spotify, though. There will be analytics on who listens.
Great.
So related to social media, and what we started talking about earlier, where I've been posting notes about upcoming meetings that I'm aware of, right? So, or I'm on the committee, and I don't mind taking the heat that I get. I don't respond to it. My position is simply to disseminate there's a meeting out there. But would it be possible? It's kind of twofold. I noticed that when the public comment has been returned, Swift Reach was used to notify everybody. So why can't we leverage Swift Reach to notify everybody of Board of Ed meetings and committee meetings so that I don't have to do it? And the intent is to notify, not to engage in a conversation, because it's not for me to engage in a conversation on my personal Facebook page or any of the bulletin board or the Parents in Weston. So what is the reason we can't leverage Swift Reach to notify people?
So how many committees do we have? We have 4 committees, is that right?
7, I believe.
But we're going to combine 2. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And-
Right.
But
Can I
nobody
interject?
can attend the negotiations meeting, so that one doesn't really count.
So there's about 5 committees plus a Board of Ed meeting.
But can I also
Um,
interject here? Because one of the things we said last time, David, was that Swift Reach it only goes to the school community. It doesn't go to the community at large. And
Right, but that's
right.
probably who subscribed to it. So Swift Reach, and Dan, just jump on me if I get it wrong. Swift Reach is essentially a platform to send notifications.
It's
And-
it's a rapid notification system.
Right. And it's not limited to only being used for parents of enrolled students. It could be anyone. I presume any email address can be enrolled into that notification
No.
system. No?
Nope, that's wrong.
Okay.
Sorry if that came out mean.
No,
I didn't
no,
mean
no.
to like,
mean this
sorry,
morning.
that's wrong. No, I didn't mean, no. It's directly tied with Power School, or student information system.
Okay.
So it just notifies parents who are set up as the legal guardian of students within Power School itself. So if we have to send an email out to all parents at Hurlbut, then we can do that. But there's no way to add people beyond that. It's
Okay.
just parents of active students. It's completely tied with Power School.
Okay. So this kind of goes back to what I had asked about at the previous couple of meetings, which is that it would be great if we had a platform that is not interactive. It's notification based. So essentially the Swift Reach functionality, not a Facebook, not a Twitter, because my concern is that it's twofold. Number one, I don't mind for the moment posting messages, but then I get accused of things that are simply not there. And then do I have some level of responsibility that if I'm out of town or I forget to post something, that, now it's implied that David didn't want to post about an upcoming meeting versus David was, up till 10 or 11 o'clock last night at a BOE meeting, and the communication meeting happens to be the next morning. So, and then on top of that, the intent is not to be interactive, because these posts are not the forum to engage in a conversation. So is there a platform out there that we talked about in the past that's a Swift Reach style that can be scheduled ahead of time as well, so that people can subscribe to it, and then it's a one-way notice of a meeting?
To be honest, I'd rather just use the district Facebook page for that, for putting
Okay.
out the information. And the reason why is setting up like a listserv is basically what you're asking for. That's a lot of work, and then there's a lot of management to it. Whereas we have a Facebook page. So and from if we would post it, it would be seen as non-political. We're just posting meeting information. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So
I would rather, post like once a month, because again, then this comes down to like push versus pull. The majority of people already have Facebook, so let's utilize the technology that's out there already. I don't mind doing like once a month, posting the meeting, the upcoming meetings for the month of November or the month of December. And they're already posted on the website and stuff, but I get you want more exposure to it. So
I think my goal is more timely exposure. So if you're talking about being able to set up the Weston Public Schools Facebook site, and at the beginning of the month or at some point in the month, you put up notices for upcoming meetings, I don't know that that's really what I'm looking for, because that's in at westonps.org, you can look at the calendar. I think what I'm looking for, which which I find very helpful across the board for all kinds of town meetings that I tend to tune into, whether it's Le Shop, Board of Finance, or whatever, is a notice about 24 hours or even 8 to 10 hours before the meeting occurs. I used to get a lot of feedback that, oh, I totally forgot about the meeting, or I wish I attended, but I thought it was a 7 o'clock start time, not a 6 o'clock start time. So that's why I was thinking, is there a mechanism, and maybe it's possible to queue up Facebook posts for the public school? I know I think on personalized Facebook pages you can, but I think, is there a possibility that you can queue up so that the morning of, so our Board of Ed meetings tend to be Monday evenings, not
Yeah.
Sunday night, but Monday 10 o'clock in the morning. Reminder: Board of Ed meeting this evening 6 o'clock, and here's a link.
Hang on, I'll check right now.
Okay.
Yeah, publishing tools. There's post scheduling.
Okay. So do we want to maybe set that for a trial for the month of December to see, what kind of resources it takes up on your side to post? Essentially, it sounds like it's 7 meetings, right? It's the Board of Ed plus 6. There's 7 committees, one of which people don't attend. So there's between 5 and 6 meetings for the month of December, it sounds like.
So what you're saying is we would post, like, let's say the beginning of December, what the upcoming schedule would be, and then I would post the day of all of the meetings.
Yeah, so basically almost like here's what's up in December, here's what's coming in December, and post essentially the December meetings on that post, give or take around the first of the month. And then if we have a communication or a curriculum or Board of Ed or finance facilities meeting on December 8th, for example, at 6 o'clock, the 8th on the morning at 9, 10 o'clock, reminder goes out just about, hey, this evening, 6 p.m., communications committee meeting, with a link to potentially the agenda or something that people can easily click on to get connected.
Yeah, I can do that. No problem. Lisa, do you mind just having Jody whenever all the meeting dates already finalized for December?
They are, I believe.
All right. If they are, just send them to me. The only thing I can't confirm is the link to the agenda, because I'm going to be pre-scheduling these the day of, or like December 1st. I'm going to just front load everything. The agenda is probably not going to be set.
Can you create a link? So I know that we use, which is another one of my questions I'm going to ask about. I know we use Google Calendar on the Weston Public Schools website. Can you create a link that takes someone directly to that date? So in other words, since you can't create a link that takes them right to the agenda, since you might not have that link, you will not have that link ahead of scheduling it. But is there a way to link to, for example, directly to December 16th?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'll have to look that up.
Okay. Because the meetings, from my view, all the meetings are in the calendar now as far as there being the meeting scheduled. So if there was a way to link directly to that meeting notice, and people were to click on that the day of the meeting, then they would get the additional information such as the agenda and the ability to participate if they choose to.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I see that they're already in there. There should be a way for me to do that. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
But I'll figure it out. I think we can do that.
Okay. And then related to the calendar and communication, is there a way, I look at the Weston Town website and I look at the public schools website, and I understand that they're different, the different platforms, et cetera. But one of the things that the Weston Town site has that ours doesn't have is the ability to add a calendar link into Outlook. So the town website, if you click on a calendar appointment or a calendar entry, Board of Selectmen meeting, they have 2 or 3 different links depending on the type of calendar system that you use. And I have had a couple of people ask me, and I myself, I'm an Outlook-based user, and I figured out how to add the internet calendar to my Outlook. But is there a way to expand the calendar feature of our website so that if a parent is interested in attending a meeting, they can open it up as a Outlook compatible calendar entry? Because that doesn't exist today.
I don't know that answer, to be honest with you. I don't know, to be honest with you. It's going to have to be a balance, because I don't want people doing a second calendar, because then that's just going to cause way too much confusion. So let me see. I don't know about conversion. I know that I could look into adding a subscribe to the WPS district calendar iCal, so it would show up as an iCal, which is more universal. But I don't have that answer, if that's something that I could do.
Yeah, I think what I'm asking is if, like, for example, on the town website, there's there's a link to add to my calendar.
Right.
And when you hover over that option, it gives you Outlook calendar / iCalendar, Google, and Yahoo. So, because I had received feedback from a couple of parents, and then I looked at it myself, and I'm like, it's a good point. If you want to attend,
I will tell you the reason why that's different is that's a calendar built into the website, the Weston CT website. Ours is a Google calendar.
So you're looking at the Google calendar. You're linking our website to look at the Google calendar versus the town website, which is a calendar functionality built into the platform.
Right. And one of the biggest complaints that for years for people was navigating a website, like a web builder's calendar, is a pain. Is there a way? We already have Google calendars in the district for everyone's reference. Can we just pull from the Google calendar?
Okay.
So I get what you're saying, but I'm looking at it right now, the Town of Weston website. It's a calendar built right in there. So unfortunately, we would have to shift how things are posted by everybody if we wanted that to be an option.
Okay.
But what I can do is I can look to add a subscribe to the calendar via iCal, so it'll work for Outlook. Because right now it just says subscribe to calendar, and that's specifically just for people who have Google.
Right.
But I can look into seeing if I can do that. That it's better than nothing.
Yeah, and that's what I wound up doing. I subscribed to it, so at least I see my work calendar and my public school calendar sort of superimposed.
Sure.
It was a means to an end. I think you helped me get that up and running, but definitely, if there was some way for parents to say, "Oh, I'm really interested in joining this seeing this policy committee meeting," but I just want to be able to click on a link and have it save into my Outlook calendar, so that when I'm driving home, I'm at work, whatever the case may be, it automatically pops up.
Sure. Yeah, I'll look into that, see what I can find. That's it for social media.
Right. And old school social media, I think we had didn't we say something about Ted Kraft as well? Having him post on the Weston today. It's kind of as old school social media as you're going to get. Was that an agreement that we made? Because I'm happy to call Ted and talk to him about including the calendar for the main meeting and also for subcommittee meetings. Is everyone in agreement that that's okay?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. I also think that we should, I know we talked about making sure that the PTOs had it, because each of the school PTOs has a calendar, or at least a key dates to remember. And I know they always put the monthly meeting in, but if they could put some of the committee meetings in, that would be helpful too.
Right.
So I don't know how we communicate with the PTO.
Each PTO has a communication director that does their website and does their newsletter typically. So we can just, and that's usually found, I think on membership toolkit, they should have everybody, all the different PTO positions. So all we need to do is identify those guys, and then we can ship the calendar to them, or maybe we can
just ask them to
post, but we have to show them where all the subcommittee meetings are in the calendar.
Well, it's actually, the nice thing is that the Google Calendar is one place to go, and you can see all of the meetings. So you don't actually have to look very hard for the meetings. I think what we're trying to do is publicize them better. So if the PTO were willing to, every time they send out one of their mailers, to simply put in their next meeting, they don't have to look very far. They go to the westonps.org site, click on calendar, and all of our committee meetings are in there. And my experience is the committee meetings don't generally change dates. On occasion, they'll be canceled, but if it's set for X date, it stays at that date.
Yeah. No, and I mean, to be clear, I've been attending committee meetings for 2 years, and I can't remember a single member of the public coming. So, you know, maybe that's because we're not communicating it well. Maybe that's because there's not interest or the time's not right. We are recording them now, which we weren't doing before. So,
True.
you know, that may be a better feature for people. Then they're not limited to our time frame. But I mean, until we know the best way, I just think the more information that people receive about these things and let them make their own determinations is better. I just don't ever want to be accused of, you know, not being transparent or having information that's hard to find, anything like that. So I would say let's give the PTOs as much info as we can. Let's give it to Ted Kraft.
Dan, is there any way to tell how many people have viewed the recordings?
Yes. Yep. We've got analytics.
And you can do that as well, Sharon. If you just go to the YouTube site and it'll say how many views. I don't think that they're unique views, right? So if I view it 3 times, it shows up as 3 extra views.
Correct.
You view it 3 times, David. You're bored.
I didn't say I did. I said if I did. But yeah, it's part of my watch party. You guys don't have those on the weekends?
Oh, pass. Hard pass. All right, so we can see how many. Okay.
Yeah. But I think I think the intent here is that the information has always been the information that for people to attend meetings has been out there. People just don't attend them. And like Melissa said, which one of the questions I raised is it that they're not attending them because they're not interested, or is it that they're not attending them because we're not disseminating the information wide enough? So my goal is not to have anybody be able to say that we're not disseminating it wide enough. You're always going to have somebody who says, you know, you should have hand delivered a computer to my home with the session open. But if we at least publicize it to the best of our ability, we and then we also remind people that a lot of the meat and potatoes of our Board of Ed meetings, when we go over certain things, that was discussed and decided at committee level. And so, yeah, the purpose of the Board of Ed meeting is not to get into the exact weeds of how it was made, but let people know that a lot of things happen at committee. And then out of committee, they're discussed or asked for approval at the Board of Ed. So what you may seem to think is, you know, 6 or 7 people nodding their head in favor with no discussion, it's that the discussion did take place. It took place at committee. It didn't take place at, you know, someone's home or in the basement of a secured bunker. So I think that's my goal, is to make sure that people know there's lots of places, that there is, you know, a place to go watch the video or participate live. There's a place to go watch, and just try and get that message out through as many platforms as possible.
I think that's right. Okay. Is that it for the social media update? Anything else?
That's it for me.
Okay. Anything else people want to add to the agenda for the future meetings, or Dan, or do you feel like you have enough things to keep you busy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. I think we can conclude the meeting then. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion. No,
You do it. David will do it, and I'll second.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And I second.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Until next time.
Thank you. Can't wait to hear the podcast, Lisa.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, everybody.